Hi folks, welcome to the tutorial or the tips tutorial on working with sections within the site. Just a couple things you should know about sections. It's an actual HTML5 element, and what it's designed to do is basically hold content, and that content would require a heading in order to make it meet up with the W3 spec. And that's what we've done is we've taken or built your web pages using sections, and we've put some sort of a heading in each section to identify the content within that area. Here's an example of our About single page for this template. We have a Meet Bob Smiley right here. That's the first section. And what makes this section unique, or the different sections unique, are basically the presentation, the background graphics, the colors that are used for that section. We use sections and we style those sections to help break up the content within your page to make it easier for your visitor to read the information on the page and not get blasted with a big wall of text on a white background. It makes it a little bit more unique experience for your visitors. So this would be a section up here. If we scroll down the page, here's an example of a different section. We have a different color, dark background. It still has a title that says what this background or what this section is all about. Then we scroll on down and we have yet another section with a short title right here, and then we have the footer. Cool. So that's what sections are. Let's talk about how to identify them. Let's go into our Expression Web, and I'm going to open up the page we're looking at, which is the About single page. Let me just scroll up here a little bit. Let's take a look at this top section here of Meet Bob Smiley. All we need to do to identify the section, because a section, in order to have the background graphics and whatnot, we've created classes for those sections. So you can just simply change the class name, and to identify that section class, we just put our cursor in here. We look up to our quick tag selector and we hover over right where it says section, and it says section 2-6. So that's the actual class name used for this section here. We scroll down below, My Projects, put our cursor in here somewhere, and we go up to the top and we hover over, it says section 3. Okay, so that's how to identify a section. Same thing down here. Cursor, section, hover over, section 6. 6 dash top, actually, because it says, if we look at it, section 6 dash top. So that's how we identify what class or what style is being used. And to really get into it, we can switch right over to code view. We can find the what we've selected here. There's our 6 top right there, and there's our classes being used right here. For example, 6 top. We scroll up, there's the section class, and that's the way all the content regions are styled for you. Is we start with a section and then we have a class for that section. Great. Now that you have identified them, how do you preview other sections to see if you want to change them? Maybe you want to change something out in your template that uses a different background, keeping in mind this particular template has 11 different section options. Your template may not have as many, or it may be a lot more subtle. In this example, we have some corner graphics up in the top left and right for this section, and we have some bottom graphic down here, some light gray graphic down here, that makes this section somewhat unique. You can change this to something a little bit more subtle or something completely different, depending what's included in the package. And to preview those differences, we go into our style guide folder, our styles, and then our sections folder. Now, in the style guide, we've included all the different code snippets and a page that says all. So in this particular case, all sections. We just have to preview that page in our browser, and then we can scroll down and we can see what the different section options are and the different styles. So section 1 basically has these cool sort of squares in this example in the top left and right corner. Section 2, if you compare them, smaller squares. That's the only difference. Section 2.5, we have a combination of section 2 and section 5, where we have the squares and then we have this sort of background gray graphic as well. And section 2.6 is a combination of section 2 and section 6, right? So really, you don't need to know what the combinations are. You just need to know that section class 2-6 has the particular look right here and a particular graphic down at the bottom here. Section 3 is a dark section, and so on. Anyways, this allows you to preview it to see if you want to change things. So for example, in this particular template, if I didn't want the squares, these large squares up here, and I'm using section 1, I could scroll down and I could find something else that might work more for what I'm looking for. Maybe section 5. I don't want the squares, but I like this graphic in the background right here behind the content. So what I could do is I would just simply find my section. Here's an example. I would open up my section right here by finding the section. I use the little drop arrow. I edit tag, and where it says section 2.6, I can just scrub over that and change it to section 5 and click check mark, and now my section is going to change to the new class. The question is, how do I know what that class name is? Well, that's where you have all these different pages in here, these example pages, so you could actually physically open up the section 5 example, go to the code view, and see what class name is being used. Section 5, just like that. That's how I know. So in a nutshell, you can preview all the different sections using the all sections page, or you can open up each individual section page like so, and you can just copy the class from one to the other. Or once you're familiar with it, because if you notice, the class names that we've used match the actual name of the page, and we did that to hopefully make it a little bit easier for you to identify things. And this is more of an advanced element or feature as well, having all these different sections with different classes and different styles to really help bring up the presentation of your website and your web pages. Now finally, if you want to remove a section from your page, it's really quite simple. You would, let's say for example, we don't want the My Project section right here, this dark section. Well, I would just click somewhere within that. I'd go up to my section class at the top, I'd click it and press delete on the keyboard, and that gets rid of the entire section for me. Now it might leave over a couple of dividers. You see this where it says divider 1 right here? You may need to remove that as well if it leaves an extra in place. We have another tips tutorial talking about dividers and how those work, but in a nutshell, when you remove a section, you may need to remove that divider as well. So just to confirm, we can select delete, and automatically, if there's a divider that precedes or the section you were just removing, you may want to just click that divider class and remove that as well. Now finally, if you want to add a new section, let's just reverse what we did there. Let's say I want to add a new section, and I've previewed my sections, and I go, you know what, I really want to add this section 6 top. Well, all I would do, and you can see all the content that's already in there, it's sort of pre-styled for you. I'm going to go to my section 6 top example page. I'm going to flip it over to code view. I'm going to grab the comment tags and everything in between. I'm going to copy. I'm going to go to my page. I'm going to go, okay, I want to add it right after my section 3 here. So I'm going to select section 3 and then flip it over to code view. Right? You see where it's commented here, section 3, then section 6, there's my divider. If there's a divider, just put your cursor after it and then paste in the new section class just like so. And then you can flip it over to the design view, and then there's already a heading, there's some pre-filled content in there for you already to get started with, or just delete it and start editing as you normally would. But that's how to add a new section to a page. Finally, what we have here, which is something really cool, is we have parallaxing backgrounds. Now they only work on certain sections or certain section types. And as this version of the template and the framework, the only section that supports the parallax background, let me just preview our page here, is the section 3. So if you see here, for the My Projects section, there's an image in the background, right? That's the only section, and we'll be making updates in the future, and we'll update the video when that happens. But for now, section 3 is the only one that supports the parallax. And how that works is, let's just go find section 3. There it is right there. We just simply add a class of parallax 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Now what that means is, or what that does is, I'll explain where this comes from, is our theme.css. or our style sheet, in our style sheets, and you can look, we have this parallax section right here, and all it does is it loads in a background image 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and those images are located in the themed images sections folder. There's parallax 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you want to change that particular image that's being used, create a new image, name it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, depending on the class being used. So our example says parallax 2. So it's loading in the parallax 2 image. You would create a new image, call it parallax 2, JPEG, pop it into the sections folder, and that's all you need to do. Now, the image size is about 1920 by 1275. Parallax images need to be big. Little images don't work. So the bigger the image, the better. I'm using an image that's at least as wide as a high-res, a high-def monitor, which is 1920, and at least as tall as the tallest, with a little bit extra to spare on each side, which is, I go with like 1200 or 1275 in this case, but try to stick with the largest image possible, at least 1920 by 1200 pixels, okay? Or 1000, I wouldn't go lower than 1000 pixels, but that way you wouldn't, anything less, you're not going to have room to actually allow the image to move in the background for the parallax effect. Now you can go and create your own parallax images. You can have as many as you want. You can just simply copy a class, give it a new name, parallax 7 for example, create a new image, call it parallax 7, like so, and all you need to do after that is create a new image, or copy an image and paste it. This is how I originally created my 6, is I just started with 1, copy paste, and I've created a new image called parallax 7, and I've opened it in my editor, put a new pic in there, updated it, whatnot. And the final step in the process is the JavaScript vendor parallax JS. We need to go right down to the bottom and make sure right here where it says parallax 6, we need to add a parallax class of 7. So that's it.